You know something, brother? I've been waiting a long time for this, and I'm ready to come at you with my 5 favorite Nintendo wrestling games of all time. That's right, only games that have come to the Nintendo for wrestling. And what you gonna do, brother? What you gonna do when Bowser's got beef and all the Bowser maniacs run wild on you? I'm Tim from Bowser's Got Beef, and this is... Finally, Tim has come back to YouTube. How you doing, everybody? So, as many of you know, I am a huge wrestling fan. I've grown up on wrestling my entire life. So much to the point that when I finally got to the age I could do it, I became a wrestler. This is actually gear that I wore while wrestling. That being said, there have been a lot of really good Nintendo exclusive wrestling games. Matter of fact, they're my favorite wrestling games for the most part. And a lot of them are much older. And matter of fact, unfortunately, these days they don't make good wrestling games like they used to. There's only THQ or 2K or whatever that's just making wrestling games. And yeah, you got stuff like Fire Pro, which is great. But at the same time, there used to be such a thriving need for great wrestling games, and Nintendo has produced some of the best wrestling games of all time. So here is my top 5 favorite wrestling games that came out only for the Nintendo. When I was in middle school, the Game Boy was still the handheld to play, and I went to my friend and I traded some of my wrestling action figures to him that he really wanted for a wrestling game, and that wrestling game was WWF King of the Ring. It wasn't the greatest game, no, it wasn't the most solid game. It was very difficult, and it was hard to do things with and maneuver. I've only won the King of the Ring tournament once on the game, but the cool part about it was like the first game that I ever saw that had the character creation system. You can customize your own character, and it wasn't fantastic. You got to choose your outfit and name the guy, and the name was like a 5-letter name, which was fine. But like for me, it was just one of those things that I spent so much time playing and so much time enjoying, because it was just like, holy crap, I get to play wrestling on the go. And for me, King of the Ring will always be one of my favorite games that came out on a Nintendo console. The GameCube was known for a lot of great games. And some of those great games were wrestling games. And out of the wrestling games that came out for the GameCube, my favorite was WWE Day of Reckoning 2. The first one was really good too, but Day of Reckoning 2 took what the first game did and perfected it. And the character creation system was so in-depth and so fun, and the matches were fantastic. The storylines in the campaign story mode were so much fun, and it was one of those games that I spent a lot of time playing with friends because we just had a blast just fighting each other and having a good time. That right there is one of the most important things for me, is the fun I have playing games. That's what makes them so good. They don't have to be critical successes. They don't have to be graphically perfect. For me, it's about what I felt when I was playing the games, and WWE Day of Reckoning 2 was definitely one of those games that gave me that great feeling. I've spent more time playing WWF WrestleMania 2000 in my childhood than almost any other game. I was always a huge wrestling fanatic, and that game was just fantastic. You can alternate all of the characters, all the wrestlers, you can change their looks and their names and everything like that. And you had like 50 creation spots, and creating characters in wrestling games is one of my favorite things to do. And the game itself was just amazing. It was one of those games where it was just like you did not want to stop playing it. And it even had a title creation system where you can create your own championships and name them. And the story mode in that thing was freaking amazing. And it always led up to, you finished at WrestleMania, and that was your big WrestleMania moment. And that game, for me, will always hold a special place in my heart, because that was one of the games that really, really just, I couldn't stop playing it. It was like impossible for me to stop playing it. And that game is just like my childhood wrapped up into like one Nintendo 64 game. Now take WrestleMania 2000 and how amazing that game was, and then literally code it in perfection. Just like Day of Reckoning 2, the next level, honestly, was WWF No Mercy. Because No Mercy had everything. There was not online, but there was a shopping mall where you bought characters, and you bought different moves, and you bought different costumes, and you bought different just things. And on top of that, there was such a crazy story mode where it forked and it arced, and it was one of those first games where what you did mattered, and if you won a match, it went a certain way. If you lost that match, it went another way. And you could fight for any title, and every belt on the line had a different story mode. Even the women's championship, the tag team championships, and all of the stories for it were fantastic. I took as many created characters as I could, and even other wrestlers, like wrestlers in the game, and I I played it nonstop, and I went through every championship thing. The only issue that sucked about No Mercy was that there was a bug in the game that sometimes it would delete all your save file. However, that was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because that meant I just get to play it again and unlock it all again. I actually did that twice, and it was worth it every time, because I just get to keep playing and having fun and experiencing this game over and over again. Now, before we hit number 1 on the list, for the first time ever, I have some honorable mentions, because there were a lot of really good games that didn't make this list, but there were a lot of really good wrestling games that came out for Nintendo.
To become an immortal, there are many risks. Many paths will lead you to deception and pain. But for those who stand in your way and betray you, their day of reckoning will come. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. WWE Day of Reckoning.
I've lived my life for this moment.
We as athletes breathe every breath of our careers for nights like WrestleMania.
This is the culmination of everything I've ever worked for.
WrestleMania is called the granddaddy of them all, and you stand on the grandest stage of them all.
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
There's really that X factor and intangible I can't explain. You just have to feel it.
WrestleMania is the chance to live forever.
WrestleMania is fever, man.
WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of professional wrestling.
It's the World Series of Wrestling.
It's like the Olympic Games, the gold medal match.
It's the tournament of all tournaments.
55,000 people are about to scream my name.
It's an adrenaline rush every single time I step through that curtain.
No matter how many times I'm here, I still get goosebumps.
It doesn't get any bigger than WrestleMania.
Now, for the number 1 spot, numero uno. The game that revolutionized wrestling games back in the 90s. The game that has just completely blown every game away at that time when it came to wrestling. WCW NWO Revenge. That game started it all. That was the game that THQ did that they actually ran for WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. Like, that was the same game engine. And THQ, like, I don't know how, but THQ just made the perfect wrestling games. And it was so much fun because they even had characters in the game that weren't actual wrestlers. They made their own little companies, and there was like Frankenstein and AKI Man and Hawk Hanna. And Hawk Hanna's ridiculous. Hawk Hanna was basically the wrestling version of E Honda. He even had his finisher was the palm strikes. And it was so cool, and it was great. And one of my favorite things, not even in my childhood, in my adult life, one of the things I absolutely adored about that game was playing it with my friend Scott, because we would take two wrestlers, whether they created wrestlers, whether it was just a tag team we wanted to put together, or a tag team that was already together. We took that and we won the tag team titles over and over and over again. And it was difficult. There were hardships. It was challenging, but we persevered. And every once in a while, we just got back to it. And we just did it again because it was so much fun and it was a blast. And that was one of my favorite things about that game was it was a revolution, man. It was a revolution in a fucking video game, and it's so much fun even to this day. It is just timeless. It is a timeless game that I would love to play over and over again. Honestly, it's even in my house right now. It's downstairs. I know it is. I just gotta get the N64 hooked back up. And Scott, I'm looking at you, man. I know we've been talking about it for a long time now, but I'm ready to fucking tag up again. I'm ready to go for those belts. Let's do it, brother. Let's do it. So there it is, guys. My favorite wrestling games that came out for the Nintendo. Whether you agree with it or not, I mean, please, in the comments, let me know. Let me know what your favorite wrestling game that came out for Nintendo was. In fact, let me know your favorite wrestling game of all time. That's something I would love to hear. If you enjoyed the video, please like it. Please subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan of Instagram, add me on Instagram. Follow me on IG. Do the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I was Tim from Bowser's Got Beef, and I'm gonna run wild on you.